DDD was once a deck thought of to do it all. Being able to fusion summon, synchro summon, pendulum summon, and exceed summon were all at the tips of this deck's potential. With Master Rule 4, it did kind of dampen the deck, but now it actually has another mechanic that the deck can do, as well as still every single mechanic that I mentioned before. This deck is awesome, and I'm excited to be bringing you guys a DDD deck inside of the 2018 format. I'm TheCaliEffect, and if you guys want to see more content like this, then go ahead and use one of those D's to destroy that subscribe button. But more importantly, you can just use the other D to destroy that notification bell, because we just too strong. I bet you guys won't believe what the third D stands for. Your girl does. Without further ado, I present to you a DDD deck profile. Alright guys, starting off with the monsters, we run 3 copies of DDD Oblivion King Ragnarok. This card is probably more important now than before. Being able to special summon a DDD monster from your graveyard to your side of the field through its pendulum effect and its monster effect are often used in the same turn. So it's going to be able to make you some nasty boards with that being said. 3 copies of DD Savant Copernicus. When this card is summoned, you can send 1 DD monster from your deck to the graveyard. Now, it doesn't seem that great, but when you pair it with the fact that you need a lot of DDD monsters in the graveyard to start going off with your combos, it's a pretty important card. It's essentially an Armageddon Knight for the deck. 3 copies of DD Savant Kepler. When this card is normal summon or special summon, you can add 1 Dark Contract from your deck to your hand. It's really important by being able to add the specific Dark Contract that you need to continue on with your plays. 3 copies of DD Swirl Slime, one of the MVPs of this deck. So it allows you to fusion summon in your hand by using that card and another DD monster in your hand as fusion material. Also, by banishing it, you can special summon another DD monster from your hand to your side of the field. This is a really good card. 3 copies of DD Lamia. This card fuels all of our synchro capabilities. Being able to special summon itself back to the side of the field by sending a DD or Dark Contract monster from your field or hand to the graveyard is really good. Also, with the fact that it's a level 1 tutor monster, it fits so many synchro capabilities, are 7 and 8s. Next is 3 copies of DD Necro Slime. Now, banishing this card in your graveyard with another DD monster will net you a fusion summon. It's also really important for the combo. Next, for hand traps, we run 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Not really much to talk about. It's the best hand trap in the meta right now, being able to negate your opponent's searches. 2 copies of my spicy tech Puppet Master. Now, Puppet Master is an extender by all sense. It's also a really good recovery card. By paying 2,000 life points when this card is normal summoned, you can special summon 2 Fiend monsters from your graveyard to your side of the field. As if life points ever meant anything in this Yu-Gi-Oh card game. The only drawback is that those monsters can attack, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be Link summoning, Exceed summoning, Fusion summoning, or Pendulum summoning with said cards. Well, you can't pendulum summon one, but you get my point. 1 copy of Maxi. This deck is reliant on its draw. So being able to draw multiple cards off of Maxi is really good. 1 copy of Black Wing Gofu. This card is basically a free Decode Talker on legs. And then the last card, you guys are probably would be scratching your head unless you're a stoic DDD player, is 1 copy of Farfa, Malbrink of the Burning Abyss. Now, when this card is sent to the graveyard, you can banish a card on your opponent's field. It has to be a monster, but it's a really good card nonetheless. That's going to sum up the monster lineup at 26 monsters. Now I'm going to get you guys right into the spells. The spell lineup is pretty simple. We're going to start off with 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. This card allows you to draw 2 cards and banish a dark monster. I was going through some series of tests and I was really debating on dropping this card, mainly because it doesn't necessarily do anything. Some cards you want to keep, but at the same time you run 3 of every single monster. Banishing 1 of your 3 copies isn't bad, especially if you draw 2 of the same card. You only need its abilities once, so Allure of Darkness allows you to dig deeper into those combo pieces you need, and it doesn't have the drawbacks of cards like Trade in and Destiny Draw. If your opponent Ash Blossom Allure of Darkness, nothing else happens. The only thing you lose is the Allure of Darkness. 3 copies of Dark Contract with the Gate. This card allows you to search 1 DD monster once per turn, so it's a really important card to the deck. 2 copies of Dark Contract with the Swamp King. This card allows you to fusion summon by using DD monsters from your hand or field and possibly even your graveyard as long as you banish them. It's a really good card. 2 copies of Pot of Desires. Now, Pot of Desires is great in a deck where you run a whole bunch of 3-ofs. And this deck just happens to be 3 of almost everything. So it's a free +2 or 2 cards from your deck to your hand. 1 copy of 1 for 1. We run quite a few level 1 monsters in our deck, and it's kind of important to get those level 1 monsters on our side of the field to begin our combos. It's a really good card. 1 Burial from the Different Dimension. This card's really nasty, seeing that we run Dark Contract with the Swap King to banish cards. We run of Lord Darkness to banish cards. We run DD Lamina, which banishes itself, Swirl Slime, which can banish itself, and Necro Slime to banish itself. So this card essentially reloads every single one of our banishable cards for reuse. 1 copy of Soul Charge, because if I didn't play Soul Charge, you guys would have every right to call me a scrub, and I wouldn't be able to say anything about it. 1 copy of Foolish Burial. Now, this card will probably be able to send that important piece that you need from your deck to your graveyard, no matter what it is. And then lastly is the lone copy of Instant Fusion. Now, I know you guys are probably scratching your head like, why the lone copy of Instant Fusion? It actually puts me at 41. It was a last-second call, but Instant Fusion comes in clutch, and I'll show you guys in a little bit. So that's it for the spells. Now I'm going to be able to show you guys the extra deck, which is going to be why I play Instant Fusion as well. For the extra deck, nothing much has really changed with the DDD strategy. Of course, your 1 copy of Siegfried. This guy negates all of your opponent's spells and traps, or negates spells and traps. 1 copy of Crystal Wing. This guy negates monster effects and can almost get over any monster that has a level. 1 copy of Odd Eyes of Meteor Burst Dragon. This card's really important to the strategy. It allows you to use DDD Ragnarok twice. If you use DDD Ragnarok's effect once, and if it's in your Pendulum Zone, you use Odd Eyes Meteor Burst to bring it to your side of the field, and then gain its other effect to special summon a DDD monster from your graveyard to your side of the field. 1 copy of DD Gus King Alexander. It's exactly like, what's that card called? Flame King Genghis, but it's a synchro monster. It actually comes in handy quite a few times. Another side note is that it can only hit level 4 and lower DD monsters, so use it wisely. It's a pretty good card. 1 copy of DDD Dual Don King Kali Yuga. I always get that card messed up. This card is a complete blowout, negating all card effects when summoned, and then being able to destroy back row. This card's really nasty. 1 copy of Beatrice the Eternal Lady, and you guys' heads are probably flickering on when I mentioned Farfa. Beatrice not only sends important cards that we need from our deck to our graveyard, but on our opponent's turn, if we have that Farfa inside of our deck, great. It's disruption. It allows us to banish opponent's cards. 1 copy of number 38 Hope Harbinger, a card that is very easily made with inside the combo and allows us to negate our opponent's spell and spell effects. 1 copy of Decode Talker. Decode Talker is amazing. It's the only Link monster that we genuinely care about because it allows us to go into more cards. 1 copy of Proxy Dragon. More often than not, if you summon the Gofu, use the 2 tokens for the Proxy Dragon, then use the Gofu and the Proxy Dragon for the Decode Talker. But other than that, you actually can make Proxy Dragon. It's pretty dope. This card, unfortunately, is mandatory for the DDD deck. I haven't necessarily found a way around not playing him yet. I'm going to keep looking, and unfortunately, you guys are probably hearts dropping. If you're in Europe, it's not available in Europe. 1 copy of Link Karibo. Now, this card is so important because you run so many level 1 monsters, and just getting that level 1 monster off the field to put a Link Karibo in your extra monster zone before you summon your DDD fusion monsters or your synchro monsters or whatever situation you need to. That's why it's so important. It's just pivotal, and then eventually you go into the Decode Talker and make the entire combo, but it's really good, and it's kind of necessary right now for the deck. That's it for the links. For the fusions, 1 copy of Dragon Bane King Beowulf. This card allows you to inflict piercing damage, but more importantly, it's a level 8 DDD monster. You won't believe how, you need that. 1 copy of Oracle King D'Arc. Some old habits die hard. While he isn't as necessary as before, he's a pretty big body and very easy to summon. 2 copies of Flame King Genghis. Now, this card you don't necessarily need in multiples for the DDD deck. You only need 1, but 2 is actually really good when you're working that recovery game. And then the last tech copy, you guys can drop this card and Instant Fusion for any card you like in the extra deck. I just really wanted to run it because it fills the starter and it's really good with Link Karibo. 1 copy of Thousand Eyes Restrict. Now, when I see my opponent, if they decide to go first and they build a board, I can instant fusion into the Thousand Eyes Restrict, the Thousand Eyes Restrict into the Link Karibo, and it is very important to have Link Karibo or a Link monster already there, and it's even better when you don't have to commit your normal summon. So I really like the Thousand Eyes combo going on right there. It's extraordinarily good being able to snatch an opponent's monster, then make Link Karibo, and then go on with your plays. It's dummy good, and it also helps the puppeteer. Puppet Master is really good, but only when you don't have to commit to that link zone. If you already have a monster in the link zone, Puppet Master is godly, or if you don't have to commit your normal summon to that linked monster, Puppet Master is godly, which is another reason why Thousand Eyes Restrict is in here. That is it for the extra deck. I think I'm getting sick. For the side deck, I'm not 100% sure if I like the side deck. Like, I'm not in love with it yet, but I thought I'd share it anyways. 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. It's really good. Sometimes you want to drop Ash Blossom in favor of Ghost Ogre, depending on the matchup. Other times you want to put in your Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbits with your Ash Blossoms for more protection. It's just a really good card. 3 copies of the Sauciest card. 3 copies of Vanity's Fiend. Now, this deck doesn't care about hand traps. When your opponent has like 18 million hand traps and you know they're playing a go second build, you summon your monsters, they hand trap you, you tribute it, Vanity's Fiend, and then just pass. Most hand trap decks cannot handle Vanity's Fiend. It's a 2400 beater, and it says your opponent can't special summon. So they can have all those hand traps they want in their deck, but it doesn't mean anything because now they can't follow up with their plays. This card was highly debatable. I don't know if I wanted to play this or Magical Spring. I opted for this because this card searches me a Pendulum. 3 copies of Wavering Eyes. It's really good inside any Pendulum matchup if you're going against a Pendulum deck, especially Pendulum Magician. Reason being is that if your opponent plays Pendulum Magician and they set up, all you have to do is just open up with the Wavering Eyes, destroy their scales. They won't get any effects if you don't have anything committed to the board. And then you can search your DDD monster that you need. If you can set up 4 scales, you're probably going to win because of the effects that follow with Wavering Eyes. And that's why I picked it over Magical Spring. 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Cards just really nutty. This deck doesn't really like to go second. But if I do, Evenly Matches in the sideboard to ruin the opponent's day. Lastly is the Super Ultra Mega Hyperbolic Combo. 2 copies of Deck Devastation Virus. This card can ruin an opponent's day. It's basically a drug card. It's on drugs, destroying all monsters under 1500 or less attack. Most good cards in the opponent's main board are 1500 or less attack, so this card can completely ruin an opponent. And then the last card is Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This card's also extremely nutty, being able to ruin your opponent's spells, ruin your opponent's traps. More often than not, that's more than half of the game, and you're going to win outright. Thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the TheCaliEffect. I have some awesome videos going on. I kind of put annotations, or cards here and there for you guys to see, and obviously there'll be annotations at the end. If you guys want to support the #1 channel and Yu-Gi-Oh! Check out my Patreon. We also have some awesome ass rewards, and I'm telling you, it's only at the very least $1, like $1 a month. That's nothing. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, enjoy.